Okay, a concept I talked a little bit in class, so I wanted to spend a little more time on the video, was strongly typed languages versus weakly typed languages. All right, so let's spell the word right. So basically, there's a lot of different kinds of computer languages out there. All right, and at the end of the day, the computer language is there so that we can program a computer to do stuff without having to type in ones and zeros. That's really the main point. But because we have different languages, they all act differently, right? They do a lot of the same things. Like Python has variables, C Sharp has variables, JavaScript has variables. Python has if statements, C Sharp has if statements. They all have like loops and they all have things that work like arrays. You know what I'm saying? Like they have a lot of the same things. You type slightly different things, but at the end of the day, they do a lot of the same things because they have to get the same job done. But that does not mean that they are the same. They have lots of differences, okay? And then we should know them as programmers because that helps us to appreciate, like understand why our program is doing what it's doing. Remember, your computer will do what you tell it to do, so you need to understand what you are telling it to do. All right, let's talk about weakly typed languages, which is JavaScript, okay? So let's take a variable. Let's like let full name equals John Smith. All right, so I declared a variable called full name. This is the name of the variable, okay? And I set its value to John Smith, which is a string. Okay, so we have a variable named full name with a value of John Smith. John Smith is a string. Okay, the type, this is a string. That means this full name is right now on line 5 is a string. Okay, if you hover over it, it'll tell you. Alrighty, so it's a string. Great. What happens if I do this? 5 is not a string. Okay, 5 is a number. The value of 5 is a number, not a string. So I'm going to console.log full name. Okay, remember, the computer starts at line 1 and just starts reading down. Okay, just line by line by line by line, one after the other. So we're going to do full name here. Okay, we're going to save this. And I'm going to do node strong versus weak.js. Okay, first off, I got no errors. Okay, the program ran with no errors. At first, on line 7, the value of full name was John Smith. And so that's why I got in the console log, John Smith. On line 10, I set full name to 5. And then when I console logged it on line 12, it gave me 5. So full name was a string on line 5, and then it became a number on line 10. Okay, JavaScript is fine with this. I could go even further. I could say full name equals false. Now it's a Boolean. Full name equals null. I can make it null. I can take this variable, full name, and set whatever value I feel like. And JavaScript is like, cool story, bro. I will change it for you and keep on going. All right? So that is an example of a weakly typed language. Now you're saying, well, Jonathan, how else is it supposed to work? Let me show you some C Sharp. Now I know this is a JavaScript class and you're like, we're not learning C Sharp, but the syntax is very, very similar, so you will be able to read this. So for example, if I say var full name is equal to Jonathan Hop, cool story, okay? This full name, if I hover over it, again, it says string right here, right? This is a string. And the value is Jonathan Hop, and everything is hunky-dory. So in JavaScript, I set this to 5. Let's see if I can do this in C Sharp. So after this, I'm going to take a little time. I'm going to do full name equals 5. There's a red squiggly here. There's an error. If I try to run my program, there were build errors. Okay, this doesn't run. This doesn't run at all. I literally cannot run my program. It will not even start. Why? Because full name on line 1 is a string. I tried setting it to a number, but C Sharp being a strongly typed language, does not allow you to change from one type to another. in this example, full name was a string. Let me make sure I did the casing. Full name was a string. So therefore, it must be a string for all eternity. Okay? C# will not allow you to break the rule. There is a rule. You said full name is a string. It will be a string from now until eternity. It can never be a Boolean. It can never be a number. Your program will never run. Okay, I can hit the play button a gajillion times on my current program. It will never run. It will not even start. JavaScript will run whether there are errors or not, and then when it hits an error, that's when it stops. JavaScript just waits to see if something's wrong. C# looks beforehand if something's wrong. It won't even start up until you fix it. So full name cannot, this does not work. So I have to change this. So I could do, like, I don't know, Sam Adams. This is fine. Okay, this is perfectly fine. This will run because this is a string. So I can change full name to another string. That's cool. Okay, but you can never change it to a different type. So C# is a strongly typed language. Okay, there's rules. JavaScript is a weakly typed language. There are no rules. Okay, if you like an analogy, I always picture JavaScript as a slacker in class with his feet up on the desk and throws a paper airplane and like talks to his buddies. And C# is the teacher with the bun in grammar school with the ruler. Okay, and you have to sit and listen to her talk and you can't move. Now, you might be thinking, well, Jonathan, that's pretty big difference between these languages. Some people like strongly typed languages, like me, where I like to know if I'm making a mistake. And some people like weakly typed languages because you can develop faster. There's fewer rules and you can get the thing going. Okay, so it's not about better or worse. It's about you understanding how the programming language actually functions. Like, what is it actually doing? So if you need, later on, if you didn't get this idea, wait a few weeks and come back to this video, okay? Because it's very important to get these kinds of details.